Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unraveling the incredibly strange wafer-thin economics of independent bookshops. I mean, why on earth risk everything for profit margins that would literally make an accountant faint?
We all absolutely love that romantic idea, right? Quiet rooms, the smell of aged paper and coffee. But the brutal reality? To pocket just one single dollar of profit, a shop owner has to sell 5 whole books.
And yet, despite that tiny 2% margin, 300 brand new independent bookshops opened their doors recently, right in the age of Amazon. So what exactly do they know that our standard spreadsheets just don't?
Part 1. The Paris Blueprint. The shop that was never actually a shop. To figure this out, we've got to jump back to Paris in 1919. Sylvia Beach opened Shakespeare & Company. She boldly publishes James Joyce's rejected Ulysses, and eventually, she even hides her entire inventory from the Nazis.
Sylvia was basically running a post office, a bank, and a clubhouse for broke writers like Hemingway. The room and who belonged inside it, that was the whole point. The physical book, it was never really the product. Which brings us to part 2, the brutal math. Break down a $10 book today, and it gets scary. The shop pays a $6 wholesale cost, burns about $3.80 on rent and wages, and keeps, well, a pretty grim 20 cents.
New owners often fall into this trap of taking a cheap lease in a dead strip mall. But here's the secret. On a walkable, artsy street, your rent is actually your entire marketing budget. Go cheap, and you're invisible.
Oh, and we can't forget the hidden cost of frozen cash. Tens of thousands of dollars are just trapped inside those books on the shelves. They only turn over maybe 2 or 3 times a year, earning absolutely zero until someone buys them.
So, a small shop pulling in $400,000 in revenue. They net about $8,000 for a year of incredibly long days. A single bad flu season or a nasty December snowstorm will wipe that tiny cushion out completely.
Moving right along to part 3, the absurdity of returns.
This builds into a really weird, broken system from the Great Depression. Because shipping is so expensive, 1 in 6 new books gets returned. Shops just rip off the covers for a refund, and the rest gets tragically pulped into paper mush.
And now, part 4, the giant's shadow.
We have to talk about Amazon, the weather controlling this whole industry. Because big buyers get massive discounts, a small indie shop might pay $18 wholesale for a hardcover, while Amazon happily sells that exact same book for $19.
Think about Borders in the 2000s. They mistakenly thought they were just stacking books, so they outsourced their online sales to Amazon for convenience. And Amazon, who actually could stack books cheaper and faster, completely buried them.
This brings us to part 5, selling identity, not books.
So, how on earth do independent shops survive against an unbeatable giant? Well, the secret is that they aren't bookstores. They are machines selling self-invention. The book is really just a proof of purchase for the person you want to become. When you happily hand over $20 for a book you could have gotten for $14 online, you're actually paying for human discovery. You're buying a curator's trust, a third place away from home, and a shiny new identity.
Think of it like this. A pub sells belonging, not just beer. An ATM sells urgency, but a bookshop? It sells something deeply private, handing over this cheap object just to validate who you hope you are. All right, part 6, 3 ways to survive. Modern owners operationalize this psychology into 3 survival models. You can be the narrow curator, the community builder where that 2% margin is basically a cover charge for events, or the realist relying on a second engine, like a cafe. But here's a quick warning. Popularity is not power. You can run these models perfectly, make your block incredibly desirable, and still get crushed when your landlord suddenly triples the rent. Going back to Sylvia Beach in Paris, her shop ultimately closed. Total failure by cold spreadsheet logic. But people still make pilgrimages there a century later because she sold belonging, even making almost zero profit. So, knowing this beautifully stubborn 20-cent economy, I want you to ask yourself something. The next time you walk out of a small indie store, are you just buying printed paper? Or are you buying a better version of yourself?